and then let's do a couple of these. Try to get people on the same page, and then we'll see where we are. So, where are we in issue? Are we good with the... No, I am not doing everything. Page 138. There should be no need for me to talk about number 1 at all. That's right in your notes. There should be no need for that. Do I need to? Great. There should also be no need to talk about number 3. But if there is a need, you can ask, of course. All right, we'll go over the most difficult one of all. C, -2 root 5, fifth root 160 S5 T6. What does that little 5 mean? Groups of 5. So the first thing I do is check 160. Well, that's 16 times 10, yes? Right? 16 is 2 to the 4th, as I recommended you memorize, times 2 times 5, yes? That 2 makes that 2 to the 4th, 2 to the 5th times 5, doesn't it? Is that a group of 5? Is it? So out comes a 2. Can I get a group of S's out? Yes, so out comes a single S. Can I get a group of T's out? So out comes a single T. What was already out there? I know it's blue. What was already out there? -2. What do all those numbers do? They multiply together to get -4 ST, fifth root. What did I leave under there? A 5 and a single T. That's the hardest one. Does anybody need to know more than that? This one, which is could be number 4, 5, 6, or 7. The number got cut off. Does anybody need to talk about any of those? If I want them to be like radicals, what does that mean? What has to be the same? The radicand, right? So, 5 is obviously the simplest one there, so I would have to simplify that one, right? That is 5 cubed. Out would come a single 5. So it'll be 15 root 5 and 40 root 5 to get a total of 55 root 5. Okay? Anything from number 8? Shouldn't be, because it's just like doing -x plus 9x minus 4x, correct? So the answer is, of course, 4x, but it's not 4x, it's 4 root 5. Yes? Shouldn't be too many problems with number 9 until here. But the only reason that's a problem is because you're scared of fractions. Right? What's the first thing that you should do all the time? Simplify. 2 cube root 81 over 4. Cube root of 81. 81 is 3 to the 4th power, yes? 9 times 9, 3 times 3, 3 times 3. So I need a cube root, so out will come a 3. 6 cube root 3 over 4. Yeah? Oh, sorry, it's over 3, because I was looking at this 4. 3. Yeah? Now, what is 6 divided by 3? 2 cube root 3. Yeah? This one, 375. Cube root 375 over 4. That is 3 times 125, yes? What's the cube root of 125? 5. So I get 5 cube root 3 over 4, yes? So this part here is that plus that, isn't it? Well, how do I add two fractions? You don't need to know anything about radicals to add fractions. What do you need? Common denominator, which is what? 4. So this becomes 4, and this becomes 8. What is 8 plus 5? So I have 13 cube root 3 over 4. Right? Now, you can see that cube root 81 and cube root 375 gave me like terms, correct? So let's see what happens over here. Isn't that 9 times 11? What's the square root of 9? So that becomes negative 12 root 11, yes? Plus 5 root 11. Different term. What is negative 12 plus 5? Negative 7 root 11. Now, let's pretend this was x. Shoot, that should have been a different color. X. What would this be? X. Are these the same? So what are they? Y and Y. And if this was grade 9, and I had 13x over 4, and then minus 7y, I couldn't put them together because they're different variables. I can't put these together because they're different radicands. So this is done. Now, in the answers, if I'm not mistaken, it gives it as 13 over 4 cube root 3. It puts the fraction there, if I'm not mistaken. That, of course, is the same thing as this. Just like 5 halves x is the same as 5 over 2 times x over 1, which is 5x over 2. Knowledge that you already have from the 9th grade that we expect you to still have in the 10th grade. Okay? And then, of course, word problems. You all stink at word problems. It's not your fault. It just is the way it is. Do I need to go over any of the word problems? 15? 14? All right, fine. S equals root 10d. A tsunami has a depth of 12. So where do you think that number goes? Where the d is. Speed equals the root of 10 times 12, which is the root of 120, which is the root of, break 120 down. I would use 4 times 30, because 30 is 2 times 3 times 5, right? No pairs. What's the square root of 4? 2 root 30. That's the speed in math class. Is that the speed in real life? Of course not, because in real life, the cop doesn't pull you over and say, dude, you're totally going the square root of 6,400 in a square root of 2,500 zone. Does he? No. He or she, I shouldn't assume the cop was a man, says, you're going 80 in a 50 zone. Right? So you would have given me that with your calculator, which is 2 times the square root of 30. Square root of 30, you know for a fact, is slightly more than 5. So your answer should be slightly more than 10. It's not a hose man. The area of the circle is 38 pi meters squared, yes? I want the exact length of the square's diagonal. Isn't that the diameter? Right. And doesn't the area of a circle equal pi r squared? So I have the area, don't I? So 38 pi equals pi r squared. What am I trying to find? R. So if I divide both sides by pi, I get 38 equals r squared. Then what? Square root. Square root 38 equals r. Right? Okay. 38 is 2 times 19. Does it get any simpler? No. The exact length of the diagonal. If r is root 38, what's the diagonal? 2 root 38. The perimeter of the square, which means I need this side, right? And this side, right? What shape did I just make? What kind of triangle? A right angle triangle. What's the hypotenuse? 2 root 38. Are these sides the same? So if I make it S and S, it's it's S squared plus S squared equals 2 root 38 squared, correct? Right? So that's 2S squared equals 2 root 38. 4 root 38 times 38, correct? Everyone agrees? Which is 2 times 19 and 2 times 19, correct? Is that a pair? Is that a pair? So I bring out 38, right? 38 times 4 is 30 times 4 is 120. 8 times 4 is 32. So it's 152. 2s squared equals 152. S squared equals 76. S equals root 76. And then you would break it down. But where isn't it? This is my confusion. You all know pi r squared. You all know the area is right there. Well, A equals that, 38 pi. And then you all know how to do algebra. The problem is, and I know what the problem is because I've been doing this forever. You look at a question and you go, right? Now, let's turn this around a little bit. I am going to make all of you walk from here to Halifax. We're starting tomorrow. Are you more worried about waking up tomorrow and taking the first step? Or should you be worried about the 30 billionth step in Halifax? What gets in your way first? The first step. Once you take that first step, what is the next thing that matters? The second step. It is not a 30 billion step journey. It is step by step by step. Write something down that you know, get an answer that you know, and apply it to your situation. Then it's easy. Because there ain't nothing there that you don't know. Is Brady correct? Yeah. Of course he is. Why? Because 4 has a square root. Out will come a 2. Can I get a group of 2 out of there? Out will come a y. So 10y squared root. What did I leave under there? 1y. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in order for me to effectively do my job, you must answer the questions I ask you honestly. So when I am showing you stuff like this, simplifying radicals, and we get to this complex examples, if I say after every example, are you all good? And you all say, what is the only assumption I can make? That you're all good. 6 days later, 1 or 2 or 12 of you will come back. I haven't known what to do since the beginning of the unit. Can you show me? Now, if I go back through the videos, which I keep for a reason, and I keep a tally of how many times I say, is everybody good? Are you all okay? Going once, going twice, going thrice. I don't want to go any further until people know what what will that graph look like as time goes on in our class? How many times will I ask, are you okay? As time goes on, what will happen to the amount of times I ask? It will go up. Now, at the beginning of the year, I didn't ask very often because there wasn't a lot to learn. But what's happening now? I ask after every example. Right? I know that you all think I am only asking if you're okay because I love the sound of my voice. I do not. I couldn't care less about the sound of my voice. The reason I'm asking if you are all okay is so I can find out if indeed you all are okay. Now, I also know that you don't think I have eyes because I watch the 30 of you and I watch whose pencils are moving. I watch whose eyes are looking at me or the screen. I watch who is talking to the people or person beside him or her. I also have ears to hear. I am not stupid. I know that what I say is sometimes very funny and you feel the need to laugh. There's a reason I'm saying it, to make you laugh. But there is nothing funny about math. The square root of 4 is 2. Myers, that is killer. Take that crap on the road. It's not funny. So if you're, when I am teaching you how to do something, that is because you are not paying attention to what I am doing. And if I were to do yet another graph of average achievement against amount of time you spend, I would see a very impressive correlation between that. If I were to do the same graph to the people whose pencils are constantly moving and who are looking at the screen and looking at me and answering questions when I ask them, I would see a similar correlation there. Okay? You have been through half this semester. If you have yet to figure me out, I have done a poor job. I'm pretty see-through. If you do what you are supposed to do, you will succeed very well. If you do not, you will not. There's no black or there are no shades of gray here. So, is everybody okay with practice 1? He asked expectantly. Wonderful. Go on to practice 2, which apparently is making everybody poo their pants a little bit. That's okay. You'll be fine. Why do I give you this practice? Not even. No. So you can identify where you are not any good. And again, I remind you, this is not an effective strategy. Notice nothing is getting done. Go clean your room. Okay. Why isn't your room clean? I'm doing it. But you know you have to pick something up and put it somewhere. I know, I'm doing it. And then you pick up one thing and you're like, oh, I remember this. And you play with it for an hour and a half. You pick up some G.I. Joe thing that you found under your bed from when you were 4. And all of a sudden it's the coolest toy in the world. And you can't do anything else until you properly put the G.I. Joe's gun in his kung fu grip and set him up to take a shot at the bad guy. Something you have not done for 9 years. Meanwhile, the rest of your room is still a pigsty. And then you say to your parents, oh, it takes so long. That's because it takes you an hour and a half to pick up a G.I. Joe and decide to put it in a box or throw it out. Go.